I thank the SRSG Elgasim 1 for the briefing and welcome the PR of Mali to this meeting, Issa Kanfuru. The Malian government is undertaking systematic efforts to normalize the situation and to lay the groundwork for holding elections at all levels on the agreed-upon timeframe. They are implementing the roadmap for the transitional period and taking measures to draft electoral laws and conduct reforms on territorial organization. They also are currently discussing the new draft constitution. On March 10th, the government of Mali announced a postponement of the constitutional referendum, which it seems is for valid reasons. They had to ensure that a maximum number of Malian citizens could cast their votes freely and safely. Currently, the absolute priority is ensuring security in the country, especially given the entire withdrawal of the French Barkhane operation and the European Takuba operation, the EU Takuba operation. The Malian government also has affirmed its commitment to the Algiers peace agreement, which remains the basis for attaining lasting peace and national harmony in the country. As part of the work of the Monitoring Committee, steps are planned to accelerate development in the Northern Territories to restore state institutions and integrate former combatants into national armed forces. The negotiation process is complicated. It's important for signatories of the peace agreement to be flexible and willing to compromise for the sake of peace and unity in Mali. Without normalization in Mali, stability in the Sahel region is not possible. On a large swath of the Malian territory, terrorist groups affiliated with ISO and al-Qaeda continue to be active, and they continue regular raids against the civilian population, as well as units of the Malian army and UN peacekeepers. However, despite these difficulties, the Malian armed forces have shown that they are capable of effectively combating terrorism. We welcome the launch of the National Strategy for Stabilization in the center of Mali. We believe that the Malian government is focused on doing all it can to overcome the challenges currently facing the country, especially when it comes to ensuring security and political stability within the country. We support the work of the MINUSMA mission in Mali to support Bamako and the country's population in resolving their problems. We note the efforts of the mission in facilitating stabilization in Mali. We understand the dangers that peacekeepers face when serving in this country, and we pay tribute to those peacekeepers who laid down their lives for peace and stability in Mali. The key to achieving the mission's goals is close coordination with the host country and respecting Mali's sovereignty. At the same time, it's important to focus on implementing key elements of the mandate, especially protection of civilians and supporting the Malian security and defense forces to this end. MINUSMA also ought to strictly adhere to its mandate when it comes to human rights, especially with regard to support for the Malian government in carrying out investigations. It's unfortunate that a number of TCCs have decided to end or suspend their participation in MINUSMA. In terms of options for reconfiguring the peacekeeping presence, we believe that any option for revising the modalities of the mission's work ought to be aligned with the main challenges the country is facing and also should be agreed upon in advance with Bamako and be based on the views of the host country. Russia is providing the Malian army with comprehensive assistance, including with regard to increasing its combat readiness, training soldiers, and law enforcement agents. Our bilateral cooperation is taking place upon the request of Bamako and in strict accordance with applicable norms of international law. Thanks in part to Russian support, the Malian armed forces have been able to significantly increase their capacity to counter terrorism and convert the potential into real results on the ground. We once again have heard a negative reaction from Western colleagues to the growing Russian-Malian cooperation. We find it unfortunate that they cannot set aside their geopolitical rivalry. In essence, their claims have nothing to do with concern about Mali's well-being. On the contrary, the views of Malians are of no interest to them and never have been. Everyone knows that the destabilization of the Sahel and Mali in particular is the result of the irresponsible military actions of Western countries in Libya. No tangible results have emerged from the many years of presence of Western countries in this part of Africa. Here we call on our colleagues in the Council to acknowledge their mistakes and to renounce their neo-colonial habits. This region does not belong to you. Let the Malians and people of neighboring countries in the region take the wheel and resolve their own problems with help from those partners that they themselves have chosen. And we have received no complaints from the African partners regarding the parameters of our cooperation with them. We believe that under these circumstances, we ought to effectively assist Malian authorities in overcoming urgent problems instead of telling them how to behave, as certain countries tend to do. We call on Bamako's international partners to refrain from politicizing donor assistance, which has led to the suspension of financing of Malian development assistance programs. These decisions will lead to a further exacerbation of an already dire humanitarian situation, especially in light of the chronic underfunding of humanitarian plans for this country. Russia intends to further support normalizing the situation in Mali on the platform of the Security Council and provide comprehensive assistance to Bamako on a bilateral basis. We're working on ways to provide additional assistance to Mali in the food and energy sectors. We believe that effective assistance to the Malian government for ensuring security and to overcome the crisis will foster lasting peace and stability in the entire Sahara-Sahel region. We believe that a leading role in stabilizing the Sahara and Sahel region should be played by the Sahel peoples themselves in accordance with the principle African solutions to African problems. Now, I once again return to my duties as the President of the Security Council and give the floor to Mali.